Hello guys, welcome back. In this video, let us learn one more service in AWS. Let's say I have built a project with the given client's application and whatever the backend infrastructure that is needed for the application I have built. Now, let's say the same type of client came. Now he's asking me, I want to build website for this, and can you build me this website? Yes, I have again go to AWS management console and I created each and every resources every time. Let's say I created lambda function and I created for my website, I used some resource, any compute resource, and I used some storage resource, and I used some database resource. I used some API calls resource, and I built a website. Now again, the another client came and he asked for his application, he again need a cloud-based infrastructure. So I created same things again. Now again, another client came. Now again, I created same infrastructure again and again. So now in my mind, I have a question that is there any way is there any way to create infrastructure? Is there any way to create infrastructure easily other than going to each and every service and creating manually? Is there any way that automatically creates my same infrastructure which I have created previously? That same infrastructure creates now as well? Yes. So now the question is here, is there any way that I want to create the same infrastructure multiple? The answer for this is yes. There is a way which is present in AWS where you can able to create same infrastructure multiple times. What is the way, sir? Just simply write your code once and execute it. How many times you have executed the code, those many times your infrastructure will be created. So once you write the code and execute it how many times you want, those many times your infrastructure is created. So can we say we are creating code for our infrastructure? Yes. So we are creating whole backend infrastructure as code. So we call it as IaaC. You can even remember it as one of the service model. So that was latestly included in many of the cloud services. Whereas in AWS, in AWS, how can I able to create cloud infrastructure formation by using code? So how can I create whole my infrastructure in cloud? That is cloud infrastructure formation. I want to create it by using code. Now, is there any service in AWS where I can able to create my whole cloud infrastructure in the form of cloud, in the form of code? Yes, there is a service called Terraform. What is that? Terraform. By using this Terraform, you can able to create your cloud infrastructure formation by using code. So what do we call this cloud infrastructure formation? We call this cloud infrastructure formation as cloud formation. What? Cloud formation. Nothing but forming my infrastructure in cloud. We call it as cloud formation only we call. So how can we able to create cloud formation in AWS? There is a service called Terraform. It's a open source service. By using that service, you can able to create your whole infrastructure. So now let us see what does my infrastructure contain? What does my infrastructure? What does my infra? 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 infrastructure contain. My infrastructure contains, can I able to create servers? Yes, I can able to create servers in my infrastructure. And can I able to use any storage services? Yes, storage services I can use. Like this, what type of services that I want, I can use and create in my infrastructure, right? Yeah. So let us take an example. I created my server in EC2 and I created my storage in S3. I created my storage backup in S3. Now, can I create the infrastructure? Can I create the infrastructure for both EC2 and S3 by using a single code? Yes, you can able to create the infrastructure for both EC2 and S3 by using a single code. You can write that code in Terraform. By using Terraform, you can able to write that code and you can able to, once you run the code, then it will create you the infrastructure for EC2 as well as S3 in your account. So, sir, you are telling we need to write the code, right? In which language we write the code, sir? We write the code in either in JSON language, JSON format, or YAML format. Using any one of the format, you can write the code and you just run it once, then your infrastructure created. How many times you can run your code, those many infrastructures will create. So let's say client one asked me one server and one storage service. So I'd like to provide these two. Then can I run once? Yeah, I run once and provided those to my client one. Now client two came and asked the same thing. I want a storage service. I want a server service. So can I create by using the same code which I written previously? Yeah, you can create the same infrastructure by using the same code running. The code was created previously in either in JSON format or YAML format. Now let's say my client came. Even this code is very long, right? Even writing this code is very long. So compare to going to console and clicking every service, clicking every option and providing every option. Here in the code, we provide only necessary details. We do not need to provide each and every details. By default, it will take the default details and we only provide the necessary details in the code. So it simplifies me somewhat. Now, now my client came and asked me, I want only serverless services. I want only serverless services. I want to use only serverless services. Mainly in case of microservices, they use only the serverless services in AWS. So I want to use only serverless services which are present in AWS. Okay, let's say I want to create servers. I want to run my code. Why do you use why do you use servers? To run code, right? To run code or to process something, you use EC2. So is there any serverless service where we can able to run our code? Yes, there is a serverless service where you can run your code in milliseconds. That service is nothing but Lambda. What is that? Lambda. It is a compute service. I hope you watched the previous video and you have a knowledge on it. And I want a serverless storage service. So what is the serverless storage service? That is S3. So most of the guys who watching this video first time, they have a confusion that what is serverless service, sir? What is serverless service? Serverless service is nothing but we don't need to manage servers. We don't need to manage servers. We don't need to manage servers for anything. We don't need to manage servers for anything. That is serverless. So I provided the architecture difference and the model difference between serverless services and server based services in the previous video. So those who haven't have idea on it, if you are interested to know more knowledge on difference between serverless and server based services, please watch the previous video so that you can get the knowledge on difference between serverless and server based services. So now my need is I want to create my application. I want to create my application. I want to create my application only in only using serverless services provided by AWS. My need is I want to create my application using serverless services, only using serverless services. So is it possible? Yes, it is possible. You don't need to maintain the server for creating your application and maintaining your application. So is there any compute service? Yeah, Lambda is there for you. And for storage service, I want to use S3 serverless storage. It is also, you don't need to manage or maintain any servers for storing your data in S3. Now can I write this code? Can I write I want to create lambda function as well as S3, right? Yeah. So can I create code for this? Can I create code for creating this lambda and S3 architecture? Yeah. I can able to create code for this architecture. So I can able to create code for this architecture by using Terraform, either in JSON script or else either in JSON script or YAML script, YAML format. So either using one of the format, I can able to create the script. Now to run a task, to run a task in an application, I at least I need to write at least minimum of 200 lines of code in this JSON or YAML format in this Terraform. So I need to write at least 200 lines of code. That is mostly to create a service, you need to write at least 10 lines of code. Since you need to create two services, you almost need to write 50 lines of code. So let's say you have a big architecture which contains more serverless services. That is, to store your users data, you need a database. Let's say I used the database as DynamoDB. And to provide API, to provide users request and response, to provide users request and response, I need a API gateway. I need to manage the API request, right? To managing that request, I have service called API gateway, which is present in AWS, where it is also a serverless service only. So to create my code for all these services, does it will be greater than or equals to 100 lines? Yeah. So can I say the code is becoming very large? Yeah, right? Yes. My code is becoming very large. I am creating code for what? For serverless services for my application. Indirectly, I'm creating code for serverless services to host my application. I'm creating the architecture for my application. Now, if I use what? Terraform. If I use Terraform, it eventually require me 100 lines of code. It eventually requires me 100 lines of code. Now I again searching for a service. I need a service in AWS where I can able to write, where I can able to create my whole infrastructure. Where I can able to create my whole, which type of infrastructure it is, which services it has. We are using serverless services. Serverless services, where I need a service in AWS where I can able to create my whole infrastructure, which is built by using serverless services. So I need a service. I need a service in AWS where I can able to create my whole serverless services in the form of code. So in the form of code. So I want to create the infrastructure of whole my cloud formation. I want to create infrastructure of whole my cloud formation of my application in the form of code only. But I want to write in less lines. But I want to write in less lines. I want my code will be in less lines. I want to write my code in less lines, right? Yeah. So I want to write my code in less lines. Now I am searching for a service in AWS to create whole my cloud formation architecture by using serverless services. So finally I found a service. What is the service? The service name is SAM. What is the service name? SAM. AWS SAM. Actually, the service name is AWS SAM. So what do you mean by SAM, sir? What do you mean by SAM full form? SAM stands for SAM stands for SAM stands for server serverless application model. Serverless application model. If you want to create serverless application model in the form of code templates, if you want to create serverless application model in the form of code template. Now, if anybody asks you in certification or else in interview, is there any service in AWS where I can able to create serverless applications in the form of code with less number of lines? Then what is your answer? Your answer must be AWS SAM, SAM, serverless application model, where by using this SAM, you can able to create serverless application models. You can create your whole cloud formation. You can able to create cloud formation for serverless up serverless services. You can able to create cloud formation for serverless services. So I hope you understood when we use SAM. When we use SAM, we use SAM service when we are having a need to create cloud formation in the form of code. Cloud formation in the form of code for serverless services. Then we need to use this SAM, right? Yes. So instead of Terraform, why we are using this SAM service? So still we are having Terraform to write the cloud formation as code. Why do we use this SAM, sir? Because if you want to write code for serverless applications, serverless service, if you want to write code for applications where that applications need infrastructure built by using serverless application, serverless services. So in that case, if we write the code in Terraform, then even it leads to a lot of lines. So to reduce the effort and create the architecture by using code in very less lines and easy to understanding format, we choose this SAM, right? Yeah. So what do we create in the Terraform? We create code, right? we call that code as code templates. We call that code as code template. So here also we create code only, right? Yes. Here also we create code only. We call that code as code template. Here also we call that as template, where that SAM template can be used for what? Whenever you run that SAM template, what happens? Your serverless services will be created at the back end, and you can even integrate them to your cloud formation template. So if anybody asks you when do you use, what is the real time scenario to use this Terraform, then you can say you are having a server based services to create server based services in the infrastructure of your cloud formation. Then choose this Terraform to write our code. So if let's say I have serverless services, then what is the easy way to write the code and create my whole infrastructure for these serverless services? You can write code in SAM templates and just run it to create your infrastructure in cloud formation. So I hope you understood how many ways, that means what are the two different ways you can able to write your code for creating your infrastructure, cloud formation infrastructure, and when do we use which template, when do we use which service to create the cloud formation. Even this Terraform is a open source and this SAM is also open source. So can we say in future it gonna develop a lot? Yes. So it gonna provide us a lot of services for in future. If there any service added in AWS, then it gonna provide us probability to use that services by using this SAM code as well. In the next video, in the immediate next video, I'll tell you about SAM, much more details about SAM. I hope you understood why we are going for SAM instead of Terraform. When do we go for Terraform? I hope you know. And whenever we want to create code for whole infrastructure, then what service we need to choose, that also you have an understanding. So thanks for watching. See you back in the next video. Until then, bye bye.